Hi, everyone. Welcome to Chillin with Joey, episode 6. I'm here with the lovely Meaghan. We're going to get the show started.
Ask me.
Now you're now. This whole intro is useless. It's trash. Oh, talk.
Hello.
Go ahead. No, one for the camera. Go for it. No, we just got fucking started. And she's already fucking it all up. There's a system here. Meaghan, how's things?
Things.
Things.
They're
Pretty
thingy, you know?
Things can be thingy sometimes.
Let's see. Life. Well, I'm a college student, so obviously tragic.
Well, I had this conversation in my previous episode with Delight Bucko about how college campuses are basically war zones. They're war zones for the slightly intellectual. Because you're not that smart when you're in college. You can't be. You're in college. God.
I think a lot of the time it really depends on the campus. Like, my school in particular is pretty known for being open-minded.
Yep.
So nobody's really battling with each other. We're more so just awkwardly trying to find, like, what group we fit into.
Yep.
Along with the open-mindedness comes, like, a lot of acceptance. Like, there we don't, necessarily separate. Like, even though you kind of have your group, it's not cliquey. And I think that's really important for college kids because, like you said, we're not, quite full adults.
No, you're not a full adult until you're 25. Like, mentally developed life experiences.
That's when you start getting hangovers. Got
25. Well, not even. Well, you can get hangovers at 14. That's not my point. Ask any Portuguese kid growing up back in the 70s, but 10 years old. No, I guess my point is, like, first of all, scientifically speaking, your brain isn't fully developed until you're almost 25 anyway. That's just biologically. Okay. Number two, well, I guess that's number one. Number two, you're still figuring out who you are as an individual. Everybody says that high school is the most important aspect of your life, and I feel that that's true in a sense because you're so impressionable and you're so grasping at straws to figure out what life is. And then by the time you get to college, you think you know, and then life kicks you in the ass. I was going to say something else. Life kicks you in the ass and basically says, no, you thought wrong, bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're how old?
19.
You're 19. So for a 19-year-old, listen, in my mind, you're still 13. But, that's not, shut up. Anyway, but you have to understand, like, I went to college. I mean, it was a different story because I went for a trade. What are you going for?
So I'm going in as an English major.
Ugh. My worst subject. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, originally I was supposed to be a history major, and then I didn't do so hot in AP history. So, I mean, it was U.S. history, which I just didn't think was as interesting.
So it wasn't that you weren't good at it, it's just that it didn't spark your interest.
Yeah, which I think has a lot to do with, like, your abilities in college.
Absolutely.
Because you have to take a lot of classes. You take the core classes, the graduation standard. But I think that it's a great time to really explore, like, certain electives and things like that. So while I thought I had this idea of being, like, a history professor in high school, once I got to college, I kind of figured out, like, hey, maybe I'll go into English. Maybe I'll teach English elsewhere. That's what I was considering. And, I just finished my freshman year, so things can still change.
Well, absolutely. Well, they changed already.
Yeah.
What's to say they won't change again? I think that's one of the most important things, and you said it, is to keep you said it about the campuses, your open-mindedness, not just towards others, but especially towards yourself. Don't set yourself just in one lane because then all you're learning is that one thing. I mean, I understand you want to be a master of a craft, but when you're 19 years old, the world is your oyster, as they used to say. You have this golden opportunity to learn so many different things from so many different people, and especially on a college campus the size of the one you're at. I don't want to throw the name of it out there because I don't need people hunting you down, but the college you're at, there's so many different classes and teachers just for one subject. So you can learning English is your major now. Learning English from the professor you're learning from it now, as opposed to who you could learn it from the next year. You could be learning a totally different standard of English.
Yeah.
Now, why did you decide to continue college? Because I know a lot of times now, especially in my case, when I went to a college for a trade, I could have just left high school and went straight to the trade. And a lot of that now is especially the case because a lot more jobs are hands-on now. But you decided to continue with school. Why?
So I feel like that was just kind of the standard of, you know, the way I was raised. Not necessarily that my parents went to college.
So you're blaming your parents. Continue.
No, it's more so, I guess you could say my uncle. Like,
Yep.
he definitely had a lot of plans for me from a young age. So I feel like it was never mentally an option not to go to college. Which, in a way, I'm grateful for because, you know, there's a lot more you can do with a college education as far as, like, my particular path has gone, like, my major.
Understood, yeah.
But, you know, it just seemed like something that I should do just in case. You know, because even if you go into a trade, sometimes things may not work out. Whereas with a college education, you know, you can go back and forth in your majors and, like, really figure out what you want to do so you aren't dead set in something without the tools to do something else if need be.
Makes
you
sense.
know?
Now, the other thing about that is having that piece of paper, having that diploma is definitely a stepping stone. It's it's almost like a foot in the door in some places. A lot of places that almost what's the word I'm looking for? See, I wasn't an English major. It's almost a necessity. You can't, like, a lot of places now you don't pass high school, you don't get the job. And then obviously other jobs you need some sort of college education and then experience in the field and things like that. But with an English major, you're almost setting yourself up for success in multiple places because being someone who deals with the English language, you can almost go anywhere. That deals with, like, even things like, and not to diminish the job, but like secretary work. It's a lot of comprehensive understanding of files and papers and things like that. Things that I couldn't do. I definitely couldn't do that job. But I mean, being an English major in college is definitely, you've broadened your horizons. Now, when you're in, how long have you been in college? You said you just finished freshman year, so you're going on your second year?
So 2 semesters.
Okay. What have been your biggest challenges up to this point?
Definitely mental. Like, I think...
Like stress?
Yes, and, like, already pre-existing things, like
Okay.
mental illness.
Okay.
As far as my campus goes, like I said, we have a pretty open mind. However, you know, no campus can really prepare you to handle the mental toll until you've really experienced it and gotten kind of used to it.
No way. That's why there's guidance counselors.
Yeah. Like, you know, I went to on-campus counselors and things like that, but, you know, outside help can really be a big boost, even if it's just... People handle stress in different ways.
Absolutely.
And with college stress and pairing it with mental illness, a lot of the time things can slip very easily. So I think it's important that you seek things outside of the school, like outlets. Like, the school does have electives and things like that, but just being on campus too much can be a bit overwhelming, I think.
Absolutely. Especially if you're used to the home life.
Yeah, like, I commute this semester.
Yep.
I was considering dorming, but I just don't know that I would want to stay in, like, one certain place all the time.
Yep.
The campus has a lot to do, though. It's just the house feels more comfortable.
Yeah.
And even then, it didn't have much of an effect on, you know, mental health. Like, even being home wasn't necessarily comforting.
Yep.
But yeah, with being on campus, I don't know. I think that mental illness and college a lot of the time go hand in hand, and it's really sad, you know, because you see like stress levels just rising, and you see things becoming more competitive because, like you said, like if you don't get that college degree, you know, that job, like you're just not gonna get it.
Certain jobs, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's, you know, a competition to like we're each trying to get like to that higher degree, and it's all just kind of a battle for survival. And a lot of the time, even though it's, you know, you got to pass this class, you have to pass in this paper, sometimes just the overall picture of everything becomes too much.
Yeah, I definitely know where you're coming from, having been in the college. See, I just fucking flew by college. I don't even remember it. It was such a blur. I remember certain aspects of college. I don't remember the actual classes. I don't remember any of it. It was so useless for me. Like, that's just how my mind works. My mind works on like a minute to minute basis. It doesn't retain
a goldfish.
Oh God. If I was in a glass bowl, I'd hit the wall. Now, would you say that the college lifestyle, and when I say lifestyle, I don't mean like frats and all that shit. I mean like actually care, like people who go to college to better themselves, not just because it's a family tradition. Do you feel that stress can induce something like, and I don't want to keep bringing up the topic because there are other things that we are going to talk about, but do you feel that can induce mental illness or mental strain in a sense that no one has felt up to that point? Because you said you had this pre-existing condition, however you want to word it. I won't word it that way if you won't want me to, but this pre-existing diagnosis, better word. Do you feel that something like that could be caused by college in others?
So I think, you know, and I'm pretty open about like my mental health. You know, there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, you can go do things to get better, but I mean...
but what has happened has happened.
Yes. And I honestly, you know, I think that a lot in college can really affect you. So to say that it can cause a mental illness, I'm not so sure. I think it more so like activates it almost.
So it's like lying dormant.
Yeah. And
waiting for a trigger.
And college, you know, that's the time that everyone's figuring themselves out. So if, you know, you start getting involved in certain things on campus and you realize, hey, like, you know, living back home, I always had to kind of closet myself. Here I can figure out like my sexuality, my gender, my, you know, any sort of thing that you kind of had. Things, yeah. And when you're in an open environment, like an educational space, you know, where most people are trying to be sort of intellectual of some sort, you know, it's a lot easier for those things to, you know, kind of surface. But in a more beneficial way.
You definitely find things out about yourself that you didn't know before.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I don't think that college would, like, cause depression, although I'm sure there are studies that say otherwise.
We won't quote you.
Yeah, I'm not going to make myself out to be a psychology major, but, like, from personal experience, I think college just, I don't want to say made things worse. I think it's just, you know.
You think it just brought it more to the surface?
Yeah, like it becomes a bit harder to handle when you have so many other things to juggle.
But wouldn't you think, in another sense, the opposite side of the coin, it could also make it easier to handle because now it's more brought to your attention and you can find the help?
Yeah, for sure. Like usually when I get in a certain mood, I kind of want to drown myself in schoolwork. So it's a great distraction, especially since the distraction is actually benefiting you in the long run.
Yeah.
So
much better than alcohol.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But I mean, no, I get what you're saying. And especially in the sense that if and for anybody out there who's going through this issue, this is gonna sound such a cliche, but don't feel like you're alone, because you're absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's somebody, the girl or guy in the same class as you who looks like they have their shit together better than anyone else could be going through the biggest shitstorm you've ever known, bigger than you. So don't feel like you're alone.
Yeah. I mean, I've been known for kind of pulling my shit together.
But you definitely, I mean, in the sense that I know you, you and your whole family, you're all very strong-willed. You see a goal, you see that you have obstacles in its way, but your goal is still your goal. And I think that's important for anyone to realize, that obstacles are obstacles. They're not things that'll completely stop you. You just have to find your way through them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's important, especially in college. You know, staying on the college topic. I mean, if you talk about obstacles, getting to college, signing up for college, just finding your fucking classroom. I mean, I remember one time, a memory. I remember one time I couldn't find a class and I just didn't go.
Yeah.
I said I'll find it next time. Fuck it, because I was already like 20 minutes late. I'm like, what's gonna happen? So I mean, and that's another thing, and this brings me to my next point: is the biggest comparison between levels of education. You go from high school to college. In high school, in high school, they prepare you, especially if you go to like a college prep school. They prepare you for that college not lifestyle, but the rigorous scheduling, the classwork, all that bullshit. But it's definitely more hand-holdy. How would you compare what you went through in high school, education-wise, and college?
So, personal experience, I don't think high school properly prepared me. Like, I was taking AP classes, and I don't know. Deadlines are different. Like, I feel like in college it actually is a bit more flexible sometimes.
Say that again. Deadlines?
Like when things
class,
are due.
like work.
Yeah, like I just feel like in college, I don't know, it feels more mature. Like, if you have to do certain things, you can get them done. You can work it out with the professor in a mature manner. Whereas in high school, though it's hand-holdy, they kind of pass it off as like, oh, in college you won't be able to get away with this, which is just sometimes not true.
It's probably in the like thinking about it. It's probably in the sense that they want to break that habit. Like, don't get in the habit of this. You know what I mean? But they use the fear tactic to say college won't let you do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To be like, oh shit, I gotta get this. I gotta get my fucking 90-page essay done before the end of the week. But I mean, in that sense, yeah, you're right. College can use the right word, mature. Definitely more mature.
I think also like personal experience, going back to the mental health. If you're in a place, like a lot of people, especially, so I have a Tumblr. It's unfortunate, but I have one.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, no. Tumblr is like the website for people in like fan groups and things like that. But there are a lot of like...
Sounds like a cult.
I mean, I'm sure there are cults on there. But I think there are a lot of like subgroups and things where people can be more open-minded.
I hear like Reddit. Is that like... I don't know.
I mean, there's Reddit, too.
You have to explain things to me. I'm old.
I don't...
than you.
Okay. So, Tumblr is...
So, it's like you find, like, a group of people who all have the same interests and, like, you all, like, talk about that topic?
Not necessarily. So, people have blogs, and you can follow whichever ones you think are interesting.
Okay. People are going to call me out on being bullshit, but I honestly don't know what Tumblr is. And
Tumblr also is, like, known for being... I can't necessarily say open-minded because there are the type of people on there that are just not going to change. We'll just say that. Yeah. But they're known for supporting like the LGBTQ and things like that. Okay. And
they add good. I always forget
I know
the Q.
The letters. I know.
I always forget the Q.
But
not to be rude to anyone, but I always forget the Q. Put your arm under it. Dodo.
I'm trying.
There you go.
But
raise it higher if you have to.
Oh, where was I? Oh, Tumblr.
Tumblr, yeah.
But there are a lot of, like, mental health, advocates and things like that. And I've noticed that with a lot of them, high school didn't prepare them for college because they didn't think they'd make it that far. And in personal experience, I can relate to that because since childhood, I was kind of preparing for college. Also, by high school, I was like, I'm not going to make it.
Yeah.
And then eventually I did. And at that point, you just kind of feel really unprepared because it's just like, oh, God, like I didn't.
Shock.
Yeah, like I really didn't think I was going to get here. And now I have no idea what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, I don't know. It throws you out into the middle of the wilderness, and you just kind of have to survive, because I never had to be a real adult before college, and now I have to learn how to take out loans. I have to pay my taxes. I have to do random things like
Welcome to the real world, kid.
Yeah, which high school definitely doesn't prepare you for.
No, I hate the education system. Anybody who knows me knows I think the education system, see, it doesn't work. The education system in America is garbage. They expect all these kids to learn all these things the same. And they grade them all on the same scale. And then if you're better at one thing than you are at the other, you still fail at that other thing, and it's considered a fail. Instead of focusing on your strong points, they're trying to build up your weak points, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
Because back in the hunter-gatherer days, the hunters hunted, the gatherers gathered, and they knew if you weren't a hunter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They separated your strong suits from your weak points. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So for now, and the human mind is basically the same machine. Obviously, it's more advanced, but it's still the same. It's still the same cogs and gears and all that shit. So for people to think that all people can do the same thing, it's bullshit. I do not like the education system. There's a cartoon, I don't know who drew it, and I should look it up because it's one of my favorite cartoons. When I say cartoon, I don't mean like TV, I know. Like newspaper cartoon. Mm-hmm. It's a tree. There's a big tall tree, and there's a teacher at a desk, and in front of the teacher is a line of animals.
Oh, like the fish and everything?
Yeah, mm-hmm. There's a giraffe, there's a monkey, there's a dog, there's a goldfish in a bowl, there's like two more. And the teacher says, okay, in order to pass this class, you all have to climb to the top of the tree. Mm-hmm. How the fuck's the goldfish going to do that?
Yeah.
That's the education system. That's expecting someone with a mind like me, who doesn't, a mind like mine, see what I'm saying? English. Mm-hmm. To understand subjects like English, and for other students who excel at, like, let's say math, you know what I mean? Or who do excel at English and suck at math. Mm. You know what I mean? So I do not agree with the education system in America.
Yeah. I think it's sort of difficult to place. I mean, okay.
Which is why college, like you said, which is why electives are important, because you find your strong suit.
Yeah. I mean, education, like, I want to go to Korea. I've said that multiple times. And there they...
Which one?
South.
Thank you. Okay.
They have these after-school schools. So it's like you go to 2 different schools in one day. And it's just, their suicide rate is so high. And, like, people wonder. And it's like their beauty standards are very strict. And
in South Korea?
Yes.
Really?
Seoul is one of the, plastic surgery centers of the world. And it's so common. And, like, I love it there. I'm not trying to bash South Korea and be like, America.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, I knew you were going to say it.
But... it's just nowhere you go, you're going to find that ideal school system. Although I'm pretty sure, like, where is it? France doesn't have homework? Something like that.
I don't know. I know, I was just going to say I know, but I think that I saw it on the internet. It must be true. There's, like, the schools in Japan don't have janitors. They make the kids take care of the school and the grounds.
They do that.
That just teaches basic responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah, they do that in Korea, too.
Do they? That's just smart. Like, granted, you're taking a job away from an adult who might need it, but at the same time, you're giving these kids a life lesson. Like, be responsible for objects. Like, you come to the school, be proud of the school, take care of the school. It's like stuff like that's important. Yeah,
kids there, tend to be just more mature from what I've seen. And here, a lot of the time, the school system is pretty hand-holdy. I've seen, firsthand how flexible schools will work with children, which, like, by all means,
which is good. But at the same time,
we need some sort of challenge, and we need to be taught, to be an adult, because the real world isn't going to be like that.
Teach me how to file taxes.
Yeah.
Teach me how a mortgage works. Mm-hmm. Teach me how to duddy. Was it Duddy or Dougie?
Dougie.
Oh, I thought you said Duddy. I'm like, I don't know what that means.
How old are you?
I'm old. So you brought up Korea, and how much you appreciate the culture there. Now, how come you decided to go to school here in America and not study somewhere else. Not necessarily Korea, but there are other schools that are definitely well known, like in England, and there are schools that could teach you things in a different way. Why go to school here?
So while the goal is to travel as much as possible and see what I can, there's a sort of...
Take money out of the window, because obviously money's a...
Oh, money out of the window, I'm out of here.
No. My obviously money is an issue because you need the money to travel. But if you could, if picking now, like you picked to go to school here in America, what made you pick this? Like if someone wrote you a blank check and said, where do you want to go? Obviously you'd pick somewhere else. But what are the benefits of going here?
I think, I don't know, in our current... I'm not going to get political at all.
No, not at all.
But in our current, like, political climate or whatever,
I'm not going to get
it's
political.
Nice. I'm not.
In our current political climate.
I just mean, like, the school system, for the most part, like, college-related, tends to be more open-minded. Like, a lot of the schools, especially around here, tend to lean more, I guess you could say, liberal. And,
Now, I'm going to stop you there because I hate when people use the word liberal and conservative to describe politics. Those are not politics. Those are mindsets. Being a liberal, it means you're open-minded to things, and being conservative means you're more closed-minded to new ideas. So, liberal is not a political party.
Okay, then I'm not getting political, and therefore I was right.
Okay. You're welcome, I guess. Thanks to me pointing out the fact that being a liberal is not a political idea. Being a Democrat is Democrats are mostly liberal.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Well, so colleges tend to, in general, be more liberal.
Liberal, which is not
a political
idea. A political party. Okay. So you're right. You weren't being political. Continue. So because colleges are more liberal.
Yeah, especially around here, I think just that's, I don't know, where more people want to go. Because, how do I put this?
Why would you... All right. It only makes sense that colleges are liberal. Because if they were conservative, it would be high school.
Ooh, fair point.
You understand what I'm saying? Because high school has those rule sets that college doesn't really have. You don't show up for high school. You have someone knocking on your door saying, what is that called?
Truancy?
Yeah, there you go. You have a truant officer coming to your door saying you haven't attended school in the past 3 weeks with no phone calls. Don't bring them up. What's the deal? In college, you don't show up for 3 weeks. That's on you.
Yeah, you just kind of fail the class and then you're in debt, but nobody really cares.
But that's my point. It's on you as the student.
Yeah, but I think people pick schools here because of the open-mindedness.
Okay.
Not to say that all of America is that way, but I think that colleges tend to be.
Okay,
and,
I can agree with you.
Yeah, so if people were going to go to college, especially if they're in a certain group that, in other countries is not as, accepted, then America would probably be the place to go.
Yep.
Depending on where.
And then move from there.
Yeah, America's a pretty big place.
Yeah. It's not, the world's not as small as people think.
Yeah.
And it's important that you definitely understand that you have those options in the future. Now, speaking of future, when you're an English major, what do you want to do with that? I mean, we spoke a little bit earlier about how broad your horizons are with an English major, and all the things you could do in the future. What is it you want to do, you specifically?
I specifically want to teach English in Korea, South Korea.
No, English is a forbidden language in the other Korea.
Yeah.
You want to teach English classes, so not just speaking the language, but like actual understanding the language, breakdown of words, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, not only is it a pretty...
Just please don't teach some Shakespeare. That shit's overdone.
Shakespeare. No. I think it's just, English is becoming such a world wide language.
Yeah.
And it's
That's okay.
so it's just, I think if everybody's learning it elsewhere, you could be
Why not
part of
teach
the
it?
movement to spread it. Not to say that everyone should speak English or anything like that. I just mean,
Well, no, definitely. I don't mean to cut you off, but I am. It definitely, in the sense that learning Spanish in America is important. Learning English in other countries is important because you have so many Americans who speak English going to these other countries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would be beneficial for those countries to know at least a little bit of English.
Yeah, especially for business. Business is very important,
Like
Korea.
businesses, like with tourism, you mean, or like actual dealing in business?
General business.
Okay.
Like, I mean, like Samsung in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Thanks for the S10.
it's obviously a really big. I just got a new phone. It's
Did
Samsung,
you?
but
You're going all out.
it's obviously like a very large company worldwide.
Absolutely.
So in order to do business,
And they just don't deal in phones.
Yeah. So you have to have like at least a bit of background in, a very common language.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I know that Chinese is obviously one of the more popular languages, or Mandarin, but, English is just, I don't know. China's very large. So, of course, a lot of people would speak it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas English is being spoken here, it's being spoken in England, it's being spoken in, France and, big portions of other countries.
Now, and obviously different regions have different dialects and things like that. Like even in America, you have the South, you have the Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm doing a very good job of pronouncing my R's today, but usually it would be more like this, and
I know.
I pack the car. But it like just in America, like you think it's all the same language, but it's all different dialects. Like we call it an accent, but I mean it's basically because how often do you hear someone from the South and be like, "What did you say?"
Yeah, that's pretty often, especially when living in the South.
Like Paula Dean, that woman says oil, all, and I'm like,
All.
all what? All what? What am I
Yeah.
using all of?
It was
I'm trying to make this apple crisp. What am I using all of? Paula Dean, god damn it.
Yeah, I mean, I lived in North Carolina for a short time, and
That's
it was
that's
just,
still pretty south.
yeah. The
compared
twang
to
sometimes could be
Massachusetts.
quite heavy,
Yeah.
and I had no idea what was going on for a large portion of my time there.
Well,
I started picking up a bit of twang, which
I went to Georgia for a week.
oof.
Yeah, I might as well have been in Seoul. Now, being in school for the amount of time you have, I mean, it's not very long compared to others. There's actually a friend of mine I was actually wanting to get on the show. She went back to school. She's gonna be she'll be 40 in a few years. I mean, by today's standards, that's old to be going to college. And I'm not saying you're old if you're listening to this. You know who you are. But that's not old by society standards, but by college standards, that's not who you're seeing a lot of.
Yeah.
Okay. But at the same time, I believe she did a lot of online. Why didn't you do online? Online courses seem so convenient.
True. But also, so as far as I know, from my specific school, online classes, you have to pay out of pocket. You don't get financial aid for things like that. So, yeah, that's the major reason. And, my older sister, she has been in school for quite a while because some people just need to take time off. And I don't know. Like, while she still looks really young and she refuses to believe me, it's just, if somebody points out how long she's been in school or her age, she gets really self-conscious about it. But I think it's
Well, there's no
just,
shame.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely admirable that you
Absolutely.
would continue to do it even past like what people expect.
And I don't know everybody's specific situation, but from people I know, being a parent, working, going to school, online courses, in-class courses, driving to school, driving to work. I mean, life sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean life sucks like be depressed. I mean, life's just busy.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot going on. So that's why I brought up the online courses thing, because it just seems more convenient because you can do the things from home. Obviously, financially speaking, it drains you dry, but you have that convenience and you have that peace of mind that I don't have to, excuse me, I don't have to worry about being late for class. I don't have to worry about traffic, parking, finding a parking space, renting a dorm room, things like that.
While that is true, I have to say that, like, I commute and it's pretty inconvenient,
Mm-hmm.
but being on campus and being around, like, people with a similar mindset, I feel is just, that's a big part of college for me.
Definitely that human connection.
Yeah, like, I am socially inept. I cannot figure out how to be social unless I've had a drink. And I joined a sorority, for the hell of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's been really great because you get to be social. And while, you're around these people that you don't really know, and it's kind of awkward at first, you're all part of the same thing. Mm-hmm. Like, you all have a similar goal. You're all college students and things like that. So I feel like it's worth it to go on campus and, like, find, a place to get. That's part of, like, the, self-improvement and just figuring yourself out part. Because you can't really do that from home. I mean, there's the internet and things like that are easier, but...
Yeah, but, I mean, nothing... I don't care what anyone says. Nothing... Human interaction and getting over those socially awkward moments, or those moments in life that you think you wouldn't otherwise face unless you were in a public situation. I mean, those can't be traded. Those experiences can't be traded for anything you find on the internet. I don't care what you look up. You know what I mean? There's certain interactions that just can't be replaced.
Yeah. Like, while, I'll stay up, it'll be 2 a.m. and it'll be like, hey, remember that really stupid thing you said in middle school? And it feels like you're just, oh, God.
I should have said this. Yeah.
It's just that cringe that just kind of actually really builds you up. Like, it's your character. Because while I've always been pretty awkward and while I've said really stupid stuff, it's those experiences that kind of got me to grow out of it. I'll think twice about it so I don't make that same mistake. And no matter how much time you spend at your house, taking online courses, buying all your stuff off Amazon, and you're eventually gonna have to do something involving other humans. And I think it's just important to build up that ability, because I've always been, socially anxious. And if I hadn't forced myself to go out there, while I do respect people's comfort zones and things like that,
well,
I think
because you know your own limitations.
Yeah. But I think it's important to sometimes just push it a bit, baby steps. Like, ordering my own food used to be such a struggle. And now I do it for other people because they're too anxious to do it.
Just talking to a waitress.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to figure,
or
like,
being a waitress.
Well, when you told me you had a waitress job, I couldn't believe it. I was so proud of you. Now, a lot of that stress and you had brought up earlier, depression and things like that. How much of that do you believe is caused by experiences compared to just being who you are? And, like, how much of it is nature, being your surroundings and what you go through, and how much of it is nurture and just a part of you? And I don't want to, and I mean this in the entire sense of, like, the anxiety, like you said, social anxiety, dealing, like, how much of it is just naturally in a person, do you feel is just naturally in a person?
That's pretty, I don't know. Like, I know it's on a person-to-person basis. In my personal experience, it's a pretty fair balance. I think I started experiencing depression pretty early in life, and I don't remember a specific trigger, although I had a lot going on. And just social anxiety, I used to be really outgoing. I used to be just one of those random kids who would run up to people and be like, hey, mister, like, do you want to know about this rock that I found? And now it was terrifying. And I think a lot of it had to do with nurture in times when you're growing up, especially hormonally. So middle school was an awful time for me.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, into early high school because I was still growing,
Mm-hmm.
late bloomer. But it...
Don't feel like you're alone on that, because guys, from my personal experience, middle school was tough too. Early high school was tough. But then, like, you know, you kind of, for me anyway, I was always just a kind of go with the flow person. So it was just kind of just, all right, this is life now.
I think in middle school, that's when people start to click.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was difficult
The
because
cool
I
kid.
was sort of, you know, an outsider. I was a bit of an outcast. Not too many people were fond of me. And I was awkward. I would say really stupid stuff because, I don't know, I'm still like that, where when I get too anxious and things are too quiet, I'll like fill the silence. And then I'm like, why on earth would I say that? But in middle school, it was just awful because, I don't know, kids are mean. Kids are pretty mean.
All right, now I had this conversation with someone before. Actually, it was my mom on the show. Sometimes I don't feel like kids are being mean to be mean. It is mean. What they're saying and doing is mean. But to them, they're just trying to be funny.
Yeah. I think that's where, like, we still don't know what's right and wrong. I mean, by social standards, by the time you're in high school, you should be like, hey, grow up. But in middle school, like, you don't really know. You're kind of experimenting. You're seeing what group you fall into. You're seeing what kind of jokes you can get away with.
Yeah.
And, you know, while some people in middle school kind of did know better,
They chose not to follow that.
yeah, because, you know, kids... They
Suck.
just say the darndest things.
Kids suck. No, I remember being a kid. I sucked. Everybody sucked. Kids suck. And the reason kids suck is because they don't know any better. And even the ones that do know better, the ones who know better are the ones who have seen too much as a child. And they know too much for their age. And they're trying to be funny by saying what they know, even if they don't know it's inappropriate or it's not the right thing to say. And it's back to that thing, like, kids will be assholes without meaning to be assholes.
Yeah.
They're not trying to be malicious. They're not trying to be mean. They're trying to be funny. A kid who tries to be funny is a kid crying for attention. They're looking for something they're not getting. Be it at home, at school. That's just my view on it. Is even though kids can say things that seem like to be really cruel, I don't believe that their intention is to, like, obviously kids fight, and yes, they might try to be mean in that case. But if they're not fighting and they're just saying something for the sake of saying something, in my opinion, they're just trying to get a laugh. And when they don't get a laugh, that's when it becomes mean.
Yeah. Like, in middle school, I know for a fact that I was a little shit. Like, I put myself in... I put myself in situations where it was like, obviously, people weren't going to like me because I was, I don't know, annoying. And just, I don't know, you kind of grow up and you look back, but like we've gone over, it's kind of all experience.
Yep.
And I don't know, that's where like the parenting needs to come into play, because I feel like parents just kind of don't want to deal with it, especially middle schoolers.
Now.
Yeah.
Like, back when I was in middle school, parents I feel, dealt with their kids more. Now it's like, here's a little computer, here's a phone.
Yeah, distractions.
Entertain yourself, leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, which is really upsetting to see. I hate, like, seeing little kids with phones, because it's just, like...
Yeah, it's like, I didn't fucking have one at that age. What the fuck?
Yeah, but, like, it's just...
It's a distraction.
Yeah, it just reminds me of, like, WALL-E.
What are they seeing? Oh, I get what you're saying. I don't... My biggest problem is, what are they seeing? What are they watching? And I don't mean they're watching, like, fucking snuff films. I mean, like, they're watching things that are not appropriate. Even if it's not appropriate, they're not watching smart things.
Yeah.
They're watching brainless, mind-numbing, stupid. And listen, I'm guilty of it too. I watch YouTube for the giggles, for the lols. Like, I watch there's a channel on YouTube, shout out to these guys, they have 5 million subscribers, they need my help. I watch Game Grumps constantly. They're hilarious to me. But I'm also an adult. I can differentiate the aspect of appropriate and inappropriate. I can differentiate what I can say to someone, what I can't say to someone. A kid who's hearing things that certain people on the internet say might not, I'm assuming, might not be able to.
Yeah.
Like, they heard it was funny. It made them laugh. Now they're going to repeat it, see if it makes these people laugh. And then when these people are like, oh, my God, I can't believe you said that, then, egg on my face.
Yeah. Media and things like video games. And I'm not about to go on a rant where it's just like only violent video games
ban all
create
video
murderers. But like
Grand Theft Auto is causing everything.
Yeah, because I myself enjoy video games. I watch other people play video games. I play them myself. But also, I know, obviously, that certain things are wrong. And these small kids, and they're talking to full-grown adults on, like, Fortnite and stuff. And it's unsettling. Like,
absolutely. But whose fault is it?
the parents.
Absolutely.
It's just disgusting that people feel the need to even distract their child when they could be spending time with them. Like, one thing that really irks me, and I'm not a parent, so I can't
I was just going to tell you, right, I'm going to cut you off for 1 second. You're going to get a bunch of bullshit. People who might see this and be like, oh, she's 19. What does she know? Blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you, people. You don't need to be 40 with 4 kids to understand that children are assholes on the internet.
Yeah, I hate...
Just Google YouTube or Google it. Google kid on Xbox or kid on PlayStation loses his mind. You will not believe the vulgarity that... And I swear like a sailor. But these kids put me to shame. These kids put me to shame. I can't believe it. I can't believe that some of these kids are saying what they're saying. But continue.
Yeah, I mean, I get that life experience is a thing, but I hate when it's just like, oh, like, I'm so tired from working like a 100-hour week. Like, I'm exhausted. And then Susan from Whole Foods just comments underneath and it's just like, just wait till you have kids.
Fuck you, Susan.
Yeah, like, I've always been very mature. I've done a lot of babysitting.
Yeah.
I basically raised a kid for a month. And it...
Ooh, a whole month. Sorry, I'm getting it before they do.
No, but I just mean, like...
No, I get what you're saying.
I've been around plenty of kids. Like,
Yeah.
I have plenty of experience with them.
And even if you didn't, it doesn't take, I mean... Don't make a blind joke. You don't need the ability to see to know...
Eyes.
Yeah. You don't need the ability to see to understand that this is wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't need 4 kids and to be in your 40s working 3 jobs to understand that kids are stressful. Just look around you. Look, you ever been in a grocery store or Walmart and there's a kid kicking and screaming? That stresses me out. And that's not even my kid. I'm like, oh my God, shut that kid up. Yes, it's insensitive of me to say out loud, but it's how I feel.
Also, I just think it's, adults like to pretend that they understand kids the best because they have them.
No one understands
and
anything.
That's just not true.
Nope.
And sometimes it's like parents don't even pay attention to the kids, so don't pretend you know them that well.
Absolutely.
It takes me back to...
And I'm going to cut you off for 1 second, and I've been doing this a lot. I'm sorry.
You warned me not to.
I know. But you brought up something, and it triggered something in my mind, and you have a better memory than I do. So, but you have to understand that, and I understand, that some kids have disabilities, and they're not screaming because they're misbehaving.
Exactly.
That's all I wanted to say. Continue.
Well, it brings me back to, like, you were talking about Reddit. That just reminds me of entitled parents and, anti-vax moms.
Blech.
And it's just...
Stupid people?
Yeah. This orange vanilla scented oil is going to cure my kid of tetanus.
Does it work? Oh. I'm just
But
kidding.
it's just like these entitled parents and things like that. It's just
Like they think they know.
Yeah, and a lot of them are blatantly ignoring their kids, using phones and stuff like that as distractions. But they're the first to be like, "Oh, you don't even understand because you don't have kids." Things like
I
that.
might not have had them, but I definitely know you don't give an iPhone to one.
Yeah.
And then get mad at the kid. I saw a guy get mad at his kid for dropping his phone. You idiot! You gave her the phone. She's 3.
Yeah. It's also
If she didn't drop the phone, I'd be surprised. But wow, that's a well-mannered and responsible child. But she's a 3-year-old dropping a cell phone. Sorry, you asked for it.
Yeah. I just feel like kids need to be listened to more. And like even super young kids. Like I mean,
kids say stupid shit. I don't.
They do.
Do you really
I'm
think you
sure.
want to listen to them?
yeah, but seeing kids, grabbing at their parents, mom, 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 like 6 or 7 times, and then finally the mom flipping out.
Yeah.
It's just like, if
listen.
you could just give them the time of
Yeah.
day instead of scrolling through your anti-vax mom Facebook page.
I don't know why measles and mumps are making a comeback. They must be in.
Making a comeback.
Yeah, they're making a comeback. Measles and mumps. Vaccinate your kids. Don't be stupid. Don't be dumb. There's a reason. If you want your kid to live, you'll vaccinate your child. It's just common sense. I mean, they've been around forever. You're alive because of them.
Yeah.
My parents vaccinated me against my will. Yeah, and you're 30 because of it. Shut up. I hate people. But it when you say listen, it's one of those things where, and I said, do you really want to listen? But it's more like just pay attention to your kid. Like, am I gonna sit here and say I watch my stepson's every move? No. Do what you want, but at the same time, like, you're my like, be responsible.
Yeah.
Like, you're my responsibility when I'm watching you. Like, be responsible. It's not even be attentive. Don't like, if the kid's being quiet, first of all, below a certain age, if they're being quiet, they're doing something they're not supposed to. But if you're watching a kid and they're just like, minding their own business, that's one thing. But then, there comes a time where you have to be attentive.
Yeah.
Put the phone down. Pay attention to your kid.
Yeah. Like, shout out to my parents. They're, my parents.
Your parents don't know how to use technology, so
Respect. They do, though.
No.
Like, they are on their phones more than I am. I'm on my laptop a lot.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of YouTube. I need, pretty often distractions.
Yeah.
But,
You should be doing your schoolwork, but okay.
well, I just think some parents don't know or don't. I think they remain blissfully ignorant to a lot of the things that their kids do. It's...
And then get mad when they find out. It's like, this was happening the whole time, you idiot.
Yeah. Like, that's why so many mental illnesses go ignored, because the kids can't really cope with them, and the parents aren't paying attention and, help them cope or even try to understand it themselves. There's a lot you can do. Google. There's a lot you can do.
Don't WebMD it.
Well, yeah, no. But I just mean, like, if your kid is diagnosed with something, like, look into it.
Absolutely.
Give a damn. And I feel like not enough parents do.
I used to be a big advocate against the ADHD, I don't want to say trend, but a lot of, like, it seemed like so many
Diagnosis,
more, so many more kids were being diagnosed with ADHD, and I'm like, is this just parents who don't want to parent their child? And then it took until like I realized it personally that, if it's affecting, if they're just hyperactive, they're supposed to be their kids. If they're not hyperactive, they have a malformity in the brain or a gland issue, get them to a doctor, because kids are supposed to have energy. Okay. But if it's to the point where they mentally cannot focus, that was a big problem that I saw, was that a child mentally could not focus on one lesson at a time. The parents took him to the doctor. They told him he had ADHD. They didn't want to do anything about it, so they started slow, small doses, things like that. And then they started noticing his grades changing. His behavior in school changed. He was more focused. Not zombified, but he was just more focused, meaning he paid attention for one subject. He, instead of outbursting in class, he would calmly do whatever it is he was asked to do. So in certain cases, like, that changed my mind. In certain cases, I believe, yes, medication could be, not necessarily a necessity, but could be helpful.
Yeah. I'm definitely...
For a child.
Yes. I'm definitely pretty good at, playing devil's advocate when it comes to certain things. And I do see, people trying to immediately solve things with medication, which is just not its purpose. And people over-medicate, and it's not solving things. And I'm all for properly treating and medicating when necessary. I just see a lot of people, not to get all conspiracy theory up in here, but it's
Thank you, DMX.
Yeah, it's just questionable, like, how often people are put on the wrong medication just to, I don't know, just keep them oblivious, keep them kind of dulled down.
I mean, and that's just not, that's any medication. Like, you'd be surprised how many full-grown adults and even senior citizens are on medication that they just don't need. I mean, and that's not, I don't want to sit here and blame the doctors. I mean, doctors are human, they make mistakes, but sometimes it's just things change. Like the kid I know with ADHD, he has had to have his dosage upped. He's had to have his medication changed just to acclimate his growth, acclimate his change in his he's getting older, so his hormones are changing. So you have to acclimate for all those changes. And it makes sense because, I mean, obviously something like that, there's a record kept track. There's charts that they follow for behavior. Like, is it what behavior is changing, what behavior is staying the same, things like that. So from what I've heard, I don't know offhand, but it's just one of those things that, given the right diagnosis, like you said, given the right approach, it could help.
Yeah. Like, I myself have had, medication changed, dosages upped, and a lot of the time I'll want to be like, hey, this isn't working, I quit. And it's just...
It's not a job.
Yeah, this isn't working out.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
Here's my 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it's just,
If you have to, raise that up so you can be comfortable. There you go.
But people have to learn how to work with their medication, not have their medication work for them. It's a lot of coping. It's a lot of, understanding the side effects, which is really important and a lot of people ignore. Like, I didn't think, this one medication would make me so not angsty, like hostile. And I had to, continue with it and see if anything changed. And it's not as simple as just popping a pill and being like, oh, this didn't work, like, on to the next thing. Or just being like, oh, up my dosage because, I've been taking it irregularly or anything like that. It's important to medicate when necessary and know what the limit is.
Also, you have to know that, just tell your doctor. Don't be... Yeah. You can't be, like, ashamed. Like, tell your doctor there's a problem. Like, yo, I'm taking this pill and my armpits are really hairy now.
Yeah.
Like, that might, as a girl, that might be embarrassing, but, yo, what the fuck?
Yo,
doc.
That's definitely a pretty important hormonal change, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say,
it's like, doc, my armpits are hairy and I got a full-grown handlebar mustache. What the fuck is up with this pill?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel great. My mind has never been clearer, but I really don't like having Don King in a headlock.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to decide, clear mind and just wax the mustache. Or, change it up.
But my point is, tell your doctor. Don't be afraid to not tell your doctor. I mean, let's put it this way. I can almost 100% guarantee you wouldn't be the first person to tell him a story like that, number one. And number two, he's seen worse.
Yeah.
Or she doctors too.
For sure. It's all about being educated on the topic,
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know a lot growing up. Not Not to say it has anything to do with being like older, you know, different times, because a lot
No,
of
but you
people
do the
from different times.
research.
Yeah. However, I grew up in a household where you don't talk about gross stuff, even though I'm a female, and there are certain things you definitely should discuss changing.
Like boogers.
Yes. Absolutely. But there are...
Trying to make light of a subject that I'm
Yeah.
uncomfortable with myself.
Yeah,
You have to understand. It's a gender thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're not my doctor. I don't have to tell you anything. But
Thank God. I mean, if I was your doctor, I would not want to deal with this because I couldn't. I
Yeah.
couldn't deal with that.
But
Like,
I
not,
mean-
and I don't mean that meaning you. I mean that like that. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Don't play dumb.
But like, you know, growing up, you have to be educated on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
I was not. And so when certain things changed, I was embarrassed, and I multiple times lied to my doctor. So I was like, yeah, you know, I don't feel comfortable talking about it, so I won't. Which is just
The wrong way to do it.
yeah, absolutely. You have to grow out of it, you know. There's definitely a maturity level, because while it's fine to make jokes about like like PMS,
Oh,
like it's sometimes it's important to discuss, you know?
Yes, with your doctor and not with me.
Well, yes.
Thank you.
But also it's just great to be generally, you know,
Well, it's a real thing.
conscious
I'm not going to
and-
sit here and be oblivious about it and say like, oh no, I don't, it doesn't exist. La 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 la.
Yeah.
If I don't hear it, it didn't happen. Like obviously, it's just like some topics. I don't know anything about it, so I'd rather not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't sit here and discuss like, yeah, you know, cramps. I don't know what the fuck that feels like.
Yeah. It's
You know what I mean?
I think being educated on, you know, gross stuff is
No,
just
well, yeah.
pretty important. You know, you never know if you have something wrong unless you actually look into it.
Yeah.
Like if you suspect something is up, you know, your medication isn't working a certain way, there are side effects that you're concerned about, and your body is just whacked out. Sometimes you have to call the doctor and be like,
Just show up. Fuck
What's up?
calling. Be like, yeah, gotta talk to the doctor. Something's up.
well, yeah,
because at that point you're waiting a while for an appointment, and like,
true.
and a lot of them, a lot of these medications that are meant to help have more side effects than what they help.
Yeah, a lot of depression medications I've noticed have warnings about suicidal thoughts, which is seemingly counterproductive. And I don't know, that is a case that's incredibly interesting, you know?
I have no personal
Just on any
experience, so I don't
depression medication you've
Yep.
ever seen on the commercial, it's just like side effects, suicidal. If you experience suicidal thoughts, you know, contact your doctor. And it's just like, that's why I contacted him in the first place. So some people back away from things like that. Like when I wanted to get on medication, some people in my life were concerned and were just like, hey, like what if you start acting like this? But that's all about educating yourself. And while that's a side effect, you know, you have to determine like, is it worth it? You know, and not just you have to determine that, but also a psychiatrist.
Yeah,
More importantly,
absolutely.
don't self-diagnose. Don't ever self-diagnose.
No, WebMD.
If you're worried about something, get it checked.
WebMD, you'll end up dead.
Yeah, like if you're worried about something, have a professional check it out. Don't immediately assume that you have something wrong.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. And that ties into what I was gonna say what I was gonna bring up next is if there was any advice you can give to anybody going through what you've experienced, what would be your advice? And that basically hit the nail on the head. Yeah, talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
Don't fucking, I mean, if you need a friend or family member to confide in for a second, that's great. But if you really feel like it's a problem, get out there and talk to your doctor.
Yeah, definitely talk to professionals. And talk to people you're comfortable with. Because I feel like there's sort of this stigma where it's just like you have to let everybody in your family know like what's up. And it's just not always
That's not the case, yeah.
Yeah, like some people just don't
especially-
understand things.
Especially helps if someone you're comfortable talking to is also someone who's gone through it.
Yeah. Like, educate the people in your life
Yeah.
to understand these things. And if they just want to remain blissfully ignorant, you know, you don't have to, I don't know, feel like it's the most important thing for them to,
Not everybody needs to know your business.
yeah. Like, it's,
Dirty laundry goes in the hamper.
yeah.
You don't need to be airing it out for everyone to see.
Yeah.
And you're right. You're right. Definitely find someone you're comfortable talking to, someone you can securely confide in.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you should, if you really feel it's an issue, talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
Meaghan, Is there anything else you want to bring up?
We
touched on a lot.
Yeah, we did.
We've been talking for a little over an hour, I think.
You took some notes. I didn't.
I did, yeah. I came prepared.
I mean, I tried.
You're the college student. You should be the more prepared one.
I just finished. This was finals week, so I'm kind of spent.
Finals week.
I'm mentally spent.
I would definitely like to get you back on the show with either your sister who's been in college for a long time and then like compare, or get my other friend on the show who she just finished. She's done. She just graduated. My friend who's she's mid to late 30s. I believe she's 36.
Yeah. My sister and I have a hell of a time, so it would be interesting.
I think it would be interesting to get different points of view.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to create conversation.
Yeah. Nicole and I have some conversations.
Yeah.
But she's the type of person that I talk to a lot about, so I think it's important to be, comfortable with someone that you're having a conversation with. Like, I've known you since I was, 6? So it's...
Sean's 16, you're 19. I knew Sean since he was 4, so yeah, 6 or 7, yeah.
Yeah. So, just talk to people that don't pressure you.
I think that's another good point.
Big thing. Don't feel pressured to talk about certain things. Don't, let people
bully you, basically.
Yeah. Don't ever feel like
What's
you
wrong?
have to,
What's wrong? What's the matter? You sure? You sure nothing's wrong?
Yeah.
Tell me. What's wrong? You can talk to me. You can talk to me.
Yeah.
Those are the people with the big mouths.
Yeah. Don't feel pressured to tell anybody your mental illnesses. Don't feel pressured to come out to anybody.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what they're
About
suspicious
anything.
of or anything. Yeah. It's completely you. And I don't just mean on you. Not all that weight has to stay on you. Mm-hmm. I just mean it's on you who you tell, who you feel comfortable with. Mm-hmm. Tell a psychiatrist. Mm-hmm. That's all.
Meaghan, this was a great time. I had fun. I'm so happy you finally fucking got here.
Yeah. I got sick.
Yeah, you got sick. I got sick. Sick of your bullshit. I'm kidding. Love you. Everybody, you guys take care of each other out there. I'll see you next time.